this presentation is really for everybody in the room, no matter what business you're in. However, my punchline is I'd like you to get out of medtech. I'd like you to exit medtech right away. And I'll explain why in just a minute. So I'm going to quickly cover what you have told us about the future of the medtech industry, what your challenges are, and where we go from here. Now, this guy is, if you look at any picture of him, he is always exceedingly happy. It's usually right after a missile launch. But if you look at it, I mean, he does great PR. The optics are fantastic. He's always smiling, whatnot. But this is a tongue-in-cheek way of saying most leaders that we're talking to today are extremely optimistic about 2018. They are on the upswing. We have never measured this level of optimism about any market in over 30 years. So just quickly, as Dan mentioned, we've got two facets. One is our Nextwork strategy firm, which is like a McKinsey firm for middle to large cap companies. We also work with some small caps on their strategy and leadership and CX, customer experience. But also our claim to fame is running the Executive Next Practice Forums, which is now 10 years in, having seen well over 25,000 people march through our doors. So much of what I'm going to talk about quickly today is what comes from our C-suite leaders that come from and come through these Executive Next Practice Forums. Our home is at UCI Applied Innovation. How many of you have been over at UCI at the Cove? Yeah, almost half the room. Please come over and see us. It's over at just off the UCI campus. What we've been doing is what I'm going to encourage you to do, and that is constantly look at internal and external opportunities in a cross-functional way. In other words, get out of medtech. Start looking at other industries for new plays, new opportunities, which may help you in medtech. In other words, start talking to people outside your industry circle and do it for looking where these opportunities are going to come from. One of our folks that talked at Chapman University Friday talked about wildcards, like the Me Too movement. There's a lot of wildcards out there that can significantly help your business or hurt you. They're coming up in a social media second. So we've been looking at something called Next Practices. That is, what is unique for your business, not someone else's, that will help you succeed and break the status quo. Not best practicing or benchmarking against other firms, but what is a next practice that's going to help you and your business. That could be a small thing, could be a big thing, but it's going to be what is going to help you move forward. So let's look at 2018. What's going to help us? Number one, as you heard from Ken Hubbard this morning, one of my friends and partners, there's a lot of money out there. The world is awash in cash, and it's looking for a place to land. It's looking for a legitimate place to land. So it's looking not for projects, Mark, but they're looking for, as we see all the time, not projects, but legitimate value propositions. And if you've got that legitimate value proposition, there's tons of cash at any level you want to go to, from seed all the way up. This is a great time. Second, what you got going for you is technology advances mean if you're a small company, you can act like a big company. From a CR system to anything else you want to do, ERP, we've got it available to us via the cloud at a scale we can all use. So I mentioned CRM specifically because I see a lot of mid to small companies using Salesforce when they don't need to, when they could be using something like Nimble or an app like that that would be much more effective for them and make them move faster. So you've got that in your advantage. The third big bucket here that you've got over, say, a much larger enterprise. And I'm saying, I keep talking about you in terms of small, middle cap, because that's what this audience is mostly comprised of. You've got an advantage. Talent these days, particularly millennials, are looking for a company they can work with that will allow them to be an entrepreneur. So whether you've got 5 employees or 500, talent is looking for a place to land where they've got the freedom, flexibility to adapt, innovate, and set their own career stage. In other words, they don't want to go into a program where you've said step 1, step 2, step 3. They want to drive their own career. So you've got that opportunity right now. That's your employee value proposition. Here are the perennial challenges for all of us. Most companies fail. Sad fact, these numbers haven't changed over the past 10 years. the odds are against us, particularly if we're at a startup, that we're going to succeed. So how do we put ourselves in the win? Everything's being Uberized instantly. In fact, Uber itself is being Uberized by startup players. So let me ask you this. As you look forward now, you've had a full day of outstanding presenters. What do you see as your significant challenges in a word or two for 2018? Just yell them out. What are your challenges as you look forward over the next 12 months? Challenges or opportunities? What do you say?
Decreasing prices.
Decreasing prices, okay. Good one. What else?
Changes by the FDA.
Sorry? Speed to market. Exactly. How do you get out there quickly and capture this wave? Regulation. Good one. Good one. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the government went back to work today. So, regulation. What else?
More competition.
Competition? You said core competition or what?
More
competition, absolutely. Yeah, it's coming on board faster and faster. What else have we got out there? What else do you see for 2018? Challenge or an opportunity? Come on, you got a couple more out there. What's that? Talent gaps. Yeah, talent compression is back with us. The war for skills, the war for talent is back with us. So that's going to be a concern, which again means you're going to have to build up your employee value proposition. Here's what you have told us. This comes from a survey of PwC and some of the surveys we've done through HRIC. It said the value of the device is no longer just the device itself, it's the value of the brand, it's the value of the experience, the patient experience, the customer experience. Number two, new competition is coming on board faster and faster every day and staking their claim to business. New accelerated business models, somebody else talked about the pace of business, the speed to market, more that come to address the clinician and other patient needs. Number three, MedTech executives expect a higher level of innovation over the next 3 years, but they lack a formal process to do anything about it. Number four, MedTech companies have been slower to apply new social, mobile, analytic, cloud technologies that other industries have already been using. So as MedTech, we're a little bit behind the game here. Number five, MedTech companies are looking to open innovation as a key approach to drive future growth. So innovation, you've told us in the surveys, is the key to your success in this marketplace. Here are your actual numbers. When we surveyed MedTech companies, most of you said you're a leader, but you're not leading. You're a leader, but you're not leading. Interesting, huh? And some of the 2% said we're innovation laggards, et cetera. So with that in mind, here's a formula for you to look at. So I'm going to condense what we normally do in 4 hours with a company into about 6 minutes. Number one, vision and value. The starting point is, Jeff Bezos says this best, look at what's not changing, and go after that. In other words, how do we break the mold? What can we create that's going to represent higher value to our patients, to our clients, to our strategic partners? So the optimal way, the Uber way, point A to point B. Uber did not look at the yellow cab company and decide to change the color of the cars. They looked at the user experience at point A to point B and started from that. Forget all the other obstacles out there. They went point A to point B. Number two, don't operate on a closed world assumption. If you pick up your phone right now and ask Siri, if you ask Siri this question, Siri will say, good question. Siri won't give you the answers. We too often operate in this closed world assumption where we put ourselves in a box or a guideline where we can't answer our own questions. In other words, how do we get outside that box? Try Siri sometime with a couple of these questions. You'll see what you get. Number one, so create your vision. Right now, you personally, and write this down, please. If you just got it in your head, it's not going to happen. So write this down for you personally and for your company. What is that vision that will take you forward? Now, I'm going to suggest 3 books to you today that will help you in these first few days. Some of you may have read this, Phil Knight's book on Shoe Dog of Nike. Great read about how Nike created their vision. Outstanding read about how they became something. By the way, they failed several times before they became successful over a period of time. Vision is a mountaintop that your stakeholders, your buyers, your alliance partners can grab onto to follow you up the hill. So a clear vision, not a list of platitudes. Number two, examine your PX, patient experience or customer experience in this case. There are at least 8 to 9 dimensions of the patient or customer experience, from patient foresight, patient insight, customer foresight, customer insight, peripheral vision, collaboration, strategic alignment with your customer. Take a look at this. There's actually a way you can score this. By the way, Dan, we're going to send this out later, right? This is a quick scoring system you can do with your employees and yourself to see what kind of strategic alignment you have to your end customer, whether it be patients, hospitals, the broader market. Take a look at that scale. The questions will lead you to how closely you're aligned from a customer service experience. By the way, we're going to do a deep dive on CX, customer experience, Dan, February 28th at UCI. Platform, another book you should pick up. It's called Platform Scale. By the way, these books are out within the past couple of years because my bias is I don't read anything that's older than 2 years in most cases, unless it's a really well done 5th or 6th edition. Platform Scale will help you start your business or scale your business with minimal investment. That's the trick here. Technology platforms, customer platforms that fit and play and integrate with each other well. So the design of the platform of the business model allows you to build infrastructure and scale it effectively. Platform, be looking at that now. Capital staircase. Ken talked about this a little bit this morning, some of the different levels of capital and sources you can get to. Capital staircase means you never have to look for your next dollar. Whether you're looking for short-term cash to make an acquisition or do some expansion, you've got that at the ready. You're not always having to go back out there at the market. So develop a capital staircase now that you can look at that will help you grow. Quick aside, valuation is the Bible for how you value your company. By McKinsey. Who's read this before? The McKinsey valuation book. Anybody? Quick aside, I've had a group approach me the other day about a well-known fund they wanted to be invested in. I started asking them some questions about basic internal rates of return and some other formulas that come out of a McKinsey book. They couldn't answer the question. Needless to say, I'm not going to invest in that fund. This is your Bible. It's 2 books. It's a book on valuation, and then there's a workbook that's associated with it. Get it, understand it, read it, because it will be your guide to how you build value within your company. Best book I've ever read. Okay. Other opportunities you've got. Tap the collective intelligence of your employees, your competition, and your buyers, your customers. Employees, customers, strategic alliance partners. And yet, right now, we're only tapping about 5% left of the collective intelligence of those people. Find a way to get their opinions, get them involved. I'm going to show you one of the techniques right now. One of the techniques is this. Literally giving them a visual of your business model. This, on one piece of paper, is a model that encompasses all the mechanics of how you run your business. On one piece of paper, you show it to whoever it may be, employees, customers, and they are taken through an experience around what your value proposition is. Notice there's not a lot of numbers on this. It just shows all the different components and how they work together. We've been using this with companies large and small to help portray their business model. At the Cove, where we've got all the startups, Dan, we've told them stop using pitch decks. Stop using pitch decks. Start showing this. If you can't show your business model on one piece of paper, then you haven't gotten to the level of simplicity and clarity that you need to be. All right, kind of in conclusion, and again, I'm powering through this, but I'll certainly take questions afterward at the cocktail party. Here are your landmines. The larger you get, the more myopic you get. You start looking internally. You forget the customer. You forget your stakeholders. You forget potential alliances. We start looking internal, getting successful. There's a routine going around now that I say, if someone's building a new headquarters for themselves, short the stock. Apple building a new headquarters, Hyundai building a new headquarters, short the stock. Because you start looking, you start feeling so successful that you forget why you got there. Never forget that. Secondly, the rush to process, the rush to standardize everything. Keep it flexible enough, adaptable enough to the market. It can be said that you could make a cement life vest, a life vest out of concrete, and meet ISO standards. Seriously. So watch that. Make sure that what you're building is of value, not just to you, but to the end customer. Here's another one. I think we talked about social media in an earlier session. 2 out of every 5 of you in this room are going to be attacked on social media, either your brand or personally, in the next 3 years. And it's going to be ugly. So be ready for it. If you haven't already engaged investor relations, a PR firm, a social media firm, to protect, enhance, and build the trust with your marketplace, do it now. Because we're seeing more and more of this. Unfortunately, social media has gotten ahead of all of our standards. They've gotten ahead of our government. They've gotten ahead of our ability to control it. So you need to kind of be in control yourself. Again, leverage investor relations in your PR firm. Less government. We're not going to have that, obviously. It's going to get worse and worse. From what we're hearing from the state legislatures and the federal legislatures, it's just going to be increasing at a rate of 10 to 20% a year. They're not going to go backwards. So be prepared for that. Set up compliance crews within your company. Set up cross-functional teams to help you stay ahead of the game and don't get surprised. Does that make sense? Pull from different parts. Don't rely on your GC or someone else to do that for you or your attorneys. Pull in a cross-functional team that will keep you in compliance and stay ahead of it. By the way, our prediction, if the current trends continue, if you like what's going on in Sacramento, you're going to love the federal government in about 3 years, because it's going to look the same. It's not a political statement, it's just where it's going. Here's what we suggest. Get moving. Blue Ocean Strategy. I'm going to give you the Blue Ocean Strategy in about 20 seconds here. Get out of medtech. And again, what I mean by get out of medtech is get out of the industry, look at what others are doing, because you're going to get some great ideas from parallel, adjacent industries, or even those that come from behind you. Fred Thiel, who is chairman of Local.com, was chairman of Local.com, a company here locally, he said he had a small team of 6 people, and he set up a conference room for them, and every day he said, your charter is find a way to disrupt my business. Their whole charter was, can you destroy my business? And he found that extremely effective for staying on his toes and moving and staying ahead of the market itself. So, Blue Ocean Strategy, here it is. 4 questions. Take your team off-site now. If you're one person, just take yourself off-site and ask yourself these 4 questions. What can I stop doing right now that's not adding value? You only have a number of hours during the day. What can I stop doing right now? What can I raise that puts me above the industry standard? What can I reduce, not eliminate, but what can I reduce that will free up some time, resources, and cash for me? And finally, what can I create that will disrupt, potentially disrupt, or move us forward? Those are the 4 questions to ask your team. Explosive questions that will move you forward in this environment in 2018. So with that, thank you. I look forward to your continued success, and see you in a few minutes. Thanks, Dan. All right, sure.